Here's my cherry tomatoes. I planted 4 seeds. I have another one down there. That's amazing. The end of January. Look at them. Oh my God. And that is the celery that I bought from the grocery store and just, you know, trimmed it off and rooted it, dipped it in the rooting powder. And look at that. Isn't that amazing? It's my basil. So this is all my purple kale, broccolini, and collards down there. The other day I cut up some bell peppers. So I did red bell peppers, yellow, green, and what I did was when I chopped them up, I then scraped the seeds off and put them into these pots. And then I added some soil on top. I've never done that before with the store-bought bell peppers. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, eh? And here I have, I planted seeds that I had bought, and they haven't grown yet. And those are little cups from yogurt, little yogurt cups, and I drilled holes in the bottom. All these pots I drilled holes in the bottom. So, and I place them in these plastic dishes because I want to put water in the bottom and the soil will absorb it. Hopefully will not get wet right to the top because we have fungus gnats. Yay! Isn't that just bloody awful? I was going to say cute, but no. So in this pot, what I did was I planted some bush green, what is it? Bush beans. Some seeds from bush beans, and I've grown them many times in the backyard. I really do like these. They're nice and tender. And I put them in here. I put this plastic on top because of the fungus gnats we have. So, and again, I water the bottom. There's holes in the very bottom, not on the side, because the fungus gnats will go into the side. So you want them right at the very bottom, the holes. And then I covered it in plastic, and look at that, eh? Woohoo! Look at that. These are my green bush beans. Makes me very happy. In my last video, I was telling everybody about the kale and the broccolini and the collards that I had planted the seeds. I was growing in those little red cups. And here they are, and I repotted them in these big grow pots. And yeah, you can see all the lovely yellow, they're called sticky yellow tabs. And I also have a little dish of water with a drop of dish soap and some apple cider vinegar, and it catches a lot of the fungus gnats. But I've tried a lot of stuff that my subscribers had mentioned, and I think there was one called mosquito dunks or something. I tried that as well, and I found that the fungus gnats literally increased. I don't know why, but anyhow, I've always had fungus gnats, but this year has been the worst. But anyhow, these are still alive, and I have been trimming leaves off around the edges, on the bottom edges. And from each plant, I'll take one leaf from each plant and wash them and use them in my kale blueberry smoothies. Yeah, and here's my tomatoes. These are my cherry tomatoes that I started from seed as well. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? I started these, 2 months ago? And it's now the beginning of April, by the way, here in Southern Ontario, Canada. Yeah, my phone rang. That was my husband. So these are my cherry tomatoes. I mean, look at that, eh? And they're even flowering. And I've grown these many times, and I started it from December. See that? See the flower? Hold on. Look at that, eh? I don't know if you can see it. fuzzy. Hold on. There we go. Can you see that? Cherry tomato flower. And all you have to do is just flick them like this, just a little bit, just nudge them a bit. Okay, and it drops the pollen, and they fertilize themselves. Here's some more up here. See that? Look at that. Those are cherry tomato flowers. Little ones, little tiny ones. Isn't that cute? So far, this guy is almost my height. Okay? Look at that. And then down here I have my, this is the lemongrass that I was growing from the store-bought lemongrass. And that's my sweet basil that I started from seeds. And those are green onions that we bought from the store. We chopped them down. You know, we used them up, and the white bits, the white bottoms that have the roots, I planted them in, and they just continue to grow. I mean, green onions are the easiest thing on the planet to grow. And that is my celery. So I think that's Chinese celery because it's very thin. But it's very good. I've been clipping it and I've been using it as well. Okay, this is that greenhouse that I made in the winter months. So I also have another bin there. That's an old bin. It had the old kale in it, and it had some mint in there, wintergreen mint. And I just put this lid on there because I want the mint to come back fast, because I ran out a lot of my dry herbs. Right over there, this is my oregano, and I don't know if you can see it. It is coming back pretty quickly here. You know, being in southern Ontario, Canada, I mean, this is pretty fast because it's only the beginning of April, so I'm glad I put it in the tent here. And I have another one of these compost bins in here that I planted in the soil. It's a flower pot with a lot of holes in the bottom. And I just put kitchen scraps in there, and I put paper on top. I actually dug up and found some worms from the soil outside those days when it was like 20 degrees here. And literally I found worms. I couldn't believe it. So I brought them in and I put them in the compost in my little bins here. And here I put 2 of those cups of the kale. And as you can see, one died and one hasn't died, but it's still there, and it will come back. That one will come back. This one, I'm pretty sure this one is completely dead. But anyhow, and here's another kale. But this one is doing very well. And down there is the garlic. You can see the shoots are coming up. Those little green shoots. Not roots, but shoots. And then I added some more, I just sprinkled some more seeds on the top here of the red kale. I want to see if they grow in here this time of year. But that is another bin that was completely, I mean, I filled it up right to about here with kitchen scraps, and then added about 2 inches of soil on top. And that's what I did last year, and they all grow really well. Everything grows very well. And this is another bin. It's complete. See, and I put some soil on top. I did put worms in there as well. And here is another bin that I'm working on. So I like to keep paper on top because worms do not like the light. So, and here's more kitchen scraps, which is eggshells, even napkins, everything in there. And you have to keep them moist. So when I put water in here, it literally drips down into this bin, because you can see it has holes there. Drips down into this bin, and then it also drips down from this bin into this bucket, this little container. And all the, which is 100% fertilized water. And that water I'll pour into pots that I'm going to use again, like this one here, like this pot right there, I'll be using again this year. I'm not going to take the soil out and renew the soil. So what I do is I just add the liquid from here, and I pour it into there, and it, you know, and then the soil is reusable. And I do it in this pot as well too. This is one of my garden beds, and look at that. This is my sage. It hasn't completely died, eh? We're a zone 6 here in southern Ontario, in my area, zone 6, and it survived the winter months. There's tulips coming up. This here is St. John's wort. That's coming back, thank goodness. And that's all Egyptian walking onions. This is another, that little garden bed I have with my herbs, which is sage and thyme and green onions. See, green onions. This one here I planted, what, 4 years ago? Maybe even 5 now. This year will be the 5th year. I mean, they don't die. They're perennials. And you just clip them down, and we just use the green stems from it, and they just keep regrowing. So, and here is that garden bed that I put a lot of Egyptian walking onions in there, as you can see. All those green stems are Egyptian walking onions. See these bins here? I put them back into this garden bed, and I'm just gonna, what I'm doing is I'm filling it with, let me show you. Okay, see? There's just dried leaves and, you know, those little tiny stems that had leaves on them. I just, you know, I just raked this all up from the patio, put it in this bin, and I'll be putting kitchen scraps on top. And so that's what I've been doing in these bins. Okay, see, here's another one that I had put leaves and that on the bottom and kitchen scraps on top, and I just keep putting this piece of paper. I pick it up, put the stuff down, and then put paper on top, and keeps the worms in. Right here is my blackberry vine. I mean, look at it. I started out with this one bush, and what happened over the winter months, these long vines, they were lying down on the ground and took root. So I now have this bush here, which is a blackberry bush, and I have another one here. It's a blackberry bush, and I clipped the vines, so I now have separate bushes, and that makes me very happy. These are my blueberries. My blueberry bushes. That's my pear tree. It's a dwarf pear tree. And in this bin, I did the same thing. I've been adding kitchen scraps and leaves. I put kitchen scraps in there, and I just threw leaves on top. And this is another vine that's stuck under there. I'm going to cut this off and try to reroot it, but I'll do that later. These are my strawberries. These were those strawberries. These are 8 plants that came from this one pot. They all, you know, these strawberries, they give off these little vines here, and they grow little plants on the end, and I just placed these in a pot. I didn't clip the vines until they took root. Then I clipped the vines, and I did that over and over again, and I now have 9 strawberries here. I just put them here quickly because I really didn't have another place to put them, but I will dig them up and plant them somewhere else. I don't want them all sticking together like that. And this here is another raspberry bush that came from over here. This was my raspberry garden, and all the raspberries grew down there, and then they all go right under the soil. And here's one here. This one I'm keeping, so I'm gonna have to try and figure it out what to do with this. So that's it. That's my backyard, my homestead. And this year I plan on putting in a lot more vegetables. I want to put more garden beds in down there. My husband and I were talking about buying one of those greenhouses from Walmart. I've been seeing a lot of those on YouTube, and I'm thinking about doing that too. So anyhow, I hope you really enjoyed this, and I'm just going to keep on growing more vegetables. I really want to do a lot. I have a whole bunch of red potatoes that had literally took not root, but they sprouted green stuff in the bags, and I'm keeping them all, and I'm going to place them in one of those big black grow bags. And then my plan is to put the tunnel, the plastic tunnel tarp on one of my garden beds over there, and which is what I've been doing for a few years. So I put the hoops over this garden bed, 3 hoops, and covered it with the 6 mil plastic, and I put some rocks up against it. This is a super easy to make one of those little tunnels, garden greenhouse tunnel kind of things. So I'm going to show you inside, and I'm going to start planting my red potatoes. Okay, so this is the inside. You can see just the garden hoops, and not garden hoops, just these plastic hoops that I bought from Home Depot years ago. And I have little rods, steel rods in there, and then you just slide these over the steel rods. So you hammer the rods in so they're stuck into the ground, and then you just slide these hoops over the rods. So here's the bags. The grow bags, I'm going to be planting my red potatoes that were sprouting in the bag. See that? So first time I've ever done this with the red potatoes. I've grown the yellow potatoes, golden yellow potatoes before. But anyhow, so I'm going to try this, and I'm going to start now, even though it is early. I'm going to start it inside this little hoop house, and we'll see how it works. Okay, so I'm just putting a small amount of triple mix on the bottom of these bags. These are only 7 gallons grow bags, but that's okay. I got 2 of them here. Alright, just break up these hard little balls of soil. Alright, add some more in here. Okay, so I only put a little bit on the bottom, like maybe 2 inches worth on the bottom. Not even that, maybe an inch. And I'm going to put the potatoes on top. Okay? So, see that? Look at that, eh? So I'll put these in, and then I'll cover them for about 2 inches of soil. And once the greens start popping up through the soil, then you just keep adding a little bit more and cover the greens. And then when they pop up some more, you just keep on adding a little bit more and a little bit more, and just keep covering the greens from the potatoes. I know it's very noisy because it's super windy out today. Okay, so here we go. And I just put enough soil in to cover them up, and So I guess it's about another 1.5 inches of soil on top. And then I'm going to water them. And I'm using triple mix. And what I will fertilize these guys with is the liquid that comes from the grow bins, from the, from those bins that I'm putting the kitchen scraps in. And I showed it earlier that it has holes in the bins, and you add liquid to it because you got to keep it moist. And anything that drips out, I pour that into pots of soil. So I'll do that with these. That's how I'll fertilize these guys. Okay. Okay. So that's it now, and I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day.